What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching another episode of Let's Play Pokemon Red. On the last episode, we cleared out the power plant and took out the first legendary bird Pokemon, Zapdos. And then we cleared out all of the areas surrounding the Seafoam Island. More specifically, we took out all the trainers here on Route 20 and Route 19. So, now we are ready to enter the Seafoam Islands themselves, and that guy is standing on the water somehow. Anyways, before I actually enter, I should point out that there obviously are two entrances to this place. The first is accessible, the one on the west here, is accessible from Fuchsia City. You come in over here and head this way. The other one down to the east here is accessible from Cinnabar Island. Now they both, it doesn't matter too much which one you go in, they both kind of lead to the same area, but the one on this side is a little bit more roundabout route. So I choose to take the entrance from the Fuchsia City side. So with that said, let's get it going. Normally I would probably use a repel in here because obviously it's a cave, so there are probably going to be lots of like random encounters and such in here, but the fact of the matter is, even though I got a good amount of experience in the last episode, in my little trainer grindfest at the end there, I still want to get as much experience as I can. We're getting very, very, very close to the end of the game but now. We're basically there already, so every level that I gain is pretty important. For now, I want to get all my guys up to level... Whoa, Aurora Beam. I wouldn't have expected that from a Shellder. All my guys are around level 45 now, so 45 is about my goal, but the higher I can get above that, the better. This encounter rate really is pretty incredible. But the enemies are not ridiculously low level. I mean, they at least give some experience. Unlike the power plant, which is like 300 experience a battle. I guess 454 isn't much better. Anyways, this is a quick look at what my guys are at. Dugtrio is 44, Jolteon's 44, Hypno's 45, Gyarados is 44, I should switch those two. Lola is 45, and Charizard is 46. I actually used my last three rare candies on Charizard to get him up to 46 so that he could learn Flamethrower. So that happened. So I'm going to take down this pathway and then head over here. I believe I want to take these stairs. Yeah, okay. Now I want to come around this way. Hopefully you were paying attention to my path there. This is an interesting Pokemon, Seel. Seel and Dugong, Dugong obviously being its evolved form, is actually a very good choice for a dedicated Ice-type Pokemon. The problem is, this is basically the only place you can encounter them. So, basically if you want one, it means waiting till almost the end of the game, which is obviously not ideal. So anyways, we've got a little bit of a puzzle here. So we want to use strength so that we can move these boulders. And I want to move this guy. Well, before I do that, I'll move this guy over out of the way. Push that guy down the hole there. And come around this way. This encounter rate really is unrelenting. So, now those two are pushed down below, I believe all I need to do is fall down here, and that should do me just fine. So now that these two boulders are here, normally the current would push me around, and it would push me down there, and I would just end up kind of looping around. But now that those boulders are in place, I can surf around at will, and come up this way to discover... Switch Jolteon out front real quick. Another legendary bird pike. Yes, a legendary bird pike. A legendary bird-type Pokemon by the name of Articuno. Now this chap is a flying ice type, pretty sure that electric should be just fine. And in fact, I killed it in a single shot. So yeah, I guess electricity works against Articuno just fine. If I didn't mention in, actually, let's just use Dig to get out of here. If I didn't mention in the previous episode, obviously the legendary bird Pokemon are a little bit tricky to catch. So when it comes to how to actually catch them, then your best bet is to put them to sleep. Or you could also freeze them, but there isn't really enough an attack that effectively consistently applies sleep to your opponent. Or frozen. Like, the only way to really freeze someone is to use something like Ice Beam on them and just hope and pray that it works. Whereas sleep, there's plenty of abilities that just straight up have a chance to apply sleep and have a pretty good chance of doing it. Once you have sleep, like normally you think that to catch a Pokemon, the best bet is to lower its HP. But the way it works in Generation 1, once a Pokemon is asleep, its HP isn't a factor anymore. So as long as it's asleep, you have a whatever chance of catching it, and then obviously you want to use an Ultra Ball. Which you can buy in... I think you can buy them in Fuchsia City as well as Cinnabar Island. I didn't heal up my Pokemon. And also, I believe that abilities like Paralyze and Poison also further increase your chance of catching a Pokemon on top of being asleep. So basically, get as many stats effects as you can on the bird, don't worry about doing damage, and then start throwing Ultra Balls and hope you get lucky, because even doing everything in your power to increase your chances, they're still going to be pretty low. But as mentioned before, I don't particularly care about catching the legendary bird Pokemon, although catching an Articuno would actually work pretty well, because it's level 50, and you don't really need an Ice type until you get to this part in the game anyways. But I prefer to go with a Pokemon that I've caught and raised myself. Anyways, as you probably noticed, we are currently working our way up through the area to the west of Radiant City. Because now that we've done everything required of us in Seafoam Island, well actually Seafoam Island is completely optional, so there's technically nothing is required of us. We don't really have anything left to do other than just march on towards the end of the game, so that's what we're going to be doing here today. Making our way past all these little Pokemon League officials who check our badges. Got a Surf. I believe there's actually random encounters in the water here, which is pretty strange. Or are there random encounters? I don't know. I know you can probably at least fish. I'm not entirely sure why they have to check every single one of your badges. Oh, there's tall grass, so there's definitely going to be random battles in those areas. Luckily, we can just kind of skip past those. Indeed it is! And we're almost through this spot. I probably should have gotten on my bike. Sure, I guess I might as well do that now. And we have the Earth Badge. And so, this is the entrance to Victory Road. Actually, let's get off the bike. I want to see what the music is like here. That's just normal cave music. And this is essentially the game's final dungeon. It's pretty... well, it's not super big, but it takes a lot of kind of running around to get through. And it's unlike Seafoam Island and the power plant, it actually also has other trainers inside of it. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. You've got enemy Pokemon who are fairly strong, or at the very least super annoying. Golbats appear here pretty frequently, and they are quite good at kind of wearing you down, just bit by bit. And just in general, Pokemon that are a little bit tricky to kill in a single shot sometimes. And then you have trainers as well, which, on one hand, you kind of would want to save your good abilities for the trainers, but on the other, if you're not using your good abilities against the random Pokemon, then you're probably not killing them in a single shot. This would be a really good place to use a repel of some sort, but as I was saying earlier, I want experience, so no repels for me. Luckily for you, I'm going to at least be editing out the battles, much like that. Anyways, our goal here is to push that rock all the way over to this side of the cave so that we can push it down on top of the switch. Which is a long way away from where the rock started. That's kind of annoying just because of how slowly the rocks push around, but it's not like there's a whole lot we can do about that. There is an item up there in the top, and we could go get it, but it's TM43, which contains Sky Attack, which frankly is not an ability that I'm particularly interested in getting. It could be useful. In particular, I like to teach Charizard flying attacks occasionally, just because having access to flying attacks is a good thing to have from time to time. But I don't really have room on Charizard's moveset because of the 2 HMs, and so I'm not going to bother getting that TM. So, yeah, that's what's in it, if you are wondering. It's actually pretty rare for trainers to withdraw their Pokemon in Generation 1, so it's kind of surprising to see that happening. Probably should use Double Kick on this thing from the get-go. Maybe? I don't know. Anyways, Jolteon is up to level 45 now. So, I believe Gyarados is the last one up to bat. And I just want to come over this way. There's a nice little shortcut down there. Well, obviously I'm good if I made it this far. Although I have to wonder how some of these guys made it. It's pretty clear that they would have no chance whatsoever against the likes of Giovanni or Blaine. Luckily, I know Ice Beam, so I can take this Ivysaur out with ease. Or apparently not. Though Razor Leaf should not be an issue for me. It doesn't have a high critical hit chance though, so yeah, that happens. Oh well. I never said this place was easy. There's actually a very good chance that I'm going to end up having to take a detour back to town at some point. Especially when I'm partaking in the random encounters. This place is like really good at just wearing you down. And there is a particular challenge in this place that is, well, particularly challenging. Maybe not like super challenging, but something to be very mindful of anyways. But we'll just have to see how it all goes. There's a good chance that I may have to resort to a little bit of alternate measures, but I should be able to handle this place in one go if I'm careful. I guess if push comes to shove, I do still have like super potions and stuff. I just always kind of tend to forget to use my healing items. I don't know why. I guess it comes down to the fact that I tend to be very cheap. If I can get a free heal by going back to the Pokemon Center, then I usually will. It's not a mentality that matters too much in this game, but in other games, it sometimes does matter. So, in that light, let us use a Super Potion on Gyarados. And, while I'm in the menu, Charizard, could you use Strength Force, please? Why, thank you. So I'm gonna push this boulder, which apparently causes us to get into a random fight. Also, Gyarados leveled up, so I want to switch Lola into the front now. Having really strong ice users is very important for what's coming up. And so I want to try and get Lola as high level as I can at this point. I mean, I'm not going to get her, like, ridiculous levels above everyone else, but I'm going to try and focus a little bit on her level from here on out. And considering she has the boost experience from being a traded Pokemon, that should go fairly well for me. The only downside, of course, is the fact that she doesn't have, like, none of her abilities really have all that many uses, so I can only use her for so long. After 10 Psychics and 5 Blizzards, I'm down to using Ice Punches, which I believe I only have 15 of. So, yeah. That should last quite a while, though, anyways. Yes, 15 Ice Punches. And I don't particularly enjoy using Psychics on Machops, but what are you gonna do? I guess with the experience boost and the trainer bonus, that's still pretty decent experience on just a Machop. Yay, experience! Give it to me! Give it all to me! I want all the experience! All of it. Anyways, if we come down this way, there is an item over here. TM5. Let us see what is contained within TM5. Mega Kick, huh? I don't think anyone can make use of it. Not really. It's a pretty good attack, but by this point in the game, you're most likely going to have something better anyways. So there's a little blocked path up there, and we're going to have to go that way eventually, but as of right now, we don't really have any good way of, well, any way whatsoever of actually unblocking that path, so we've got some other stuff to do first. Such as killing this tamer. Persian. Actually, this brings us to question whether Blizzard or Psychic is a stronger attack. I don't actually know offhand, but I want to say Blizzard. It does have less uses after all. That's usually a pretty good indicator. It's obviously not the only indicator. I actually do want to change Pokemon. I don't really have a good ability to use against Golduck because it's Water Psychic. At least I'm pretty sure it's part Psychic. Meaning that it's going to resist any attack that Jinx can actually use against it. But that's okay, because Jolteon's here. So, he is dealt with. What do we got in here? Full heal. That could be interesting. Let's see. Okay. If we come up this way, there's another dude over here. I don't really know why my emulator is spazzing out at the moment, but it is what it is. This guy's only got one Pokemon. Clearly a target just waiting to be blizzarded in the face. That statement got a little bit out of hand. Nice, critical hit. Always a fan of those. At least when I'm the one generating the critical hits. Thrash, huh? No thanks, I think I can do without Thrash. My moveset for all of my Pokemon is basically completely done at this point. What is in TM17? I really should have like a TM list up on my other monitor or something. No, I don't particularly care for submission. So anyways, if we take this ladder, might as well pay a visit to Mr. Dudeface over here, if I can ever actually make it here after all those random battles. Let's see what you got. Another tamer, huh? Or, no, cool trainer. What? Why does a cool trainer have a whip? That seems kind of strange to me. These two have an interesting call. They're very similar, but like pitch shifted or something. Oh right, Exeggutor is part psychic, not part poison. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Guess I should use Ice Punch because he is part grass, so that should be pretty effective. But Exeggutor does have a very large amount of HP. Wow. Critical hit twice? In a row? That's unfortunate. Although, I'm probably just going to let Lola die if it comes to it, because she's actually pretty much out of ability uses at this point. I ended up using all my blizzards on like random Pokemon just because I'm fighting a lot of like evolved stuff right now, random battle-wise. I've fought like Machokes and Golbats and Venomoths and stuff. I kind of feel like the random Pokemon that you encounter gets harder the lower you go into the dungeon. So, yeah, that's a thing. Probably. Arcanine. Not that I'm complaining all that much. Evolved Pokemon obviously give a lot more experience when you kill them. That may not be good. Well, it was a critical hit, so not so much. I think I'm gonna default to Hypno. Psychic Pokemon in general are really good, so... You may not be a user of Ice-type attacks, but... Actually... If I'm looking for leveling up my Ice users, I should switch Gyarados to the front, considering he does know Ice Beam. Max Revive. I could use that right now, actually, but... Like I said, Jinx is pretty much out of ability uses, so I'm not gonna bother. Gotta use Strength. And push this rock all the way over to the west. Ever so slowly. We'll get there eventually. Probably. Hopefully. Okay, before I go over there, grab TM47 real quick, which contains Explosion! Not an ability I'm interested in learning. Suicide is not really my thing. So, I want to go like this, then come around the other side, and... No, that's not right. Let's try this again, shall we? So, back this way. I'll push it over like so. And down like this. That works. And this will unlock a blocked path over on the south side of this room, which is definitely a place we want to go, but not quite yet. First, I want to come this way and talk to this thing. It looks like it has a mustache of some sort. But in reality, it is actually the third legendary bird Pokemon, Moltres. This one is obviously part fire type, and so it seems as though it is a good idea to use Hydro Pump. And apparently miss. Moltres is honestly probably the least interesting of the three legendary birds, just because its mix of types doesn't really bring anything interesting to the table like the other guys do. And apparently it really likes spamming the weakest flying type attack in existence on me. But I'm not complaining. Gyarados is water type, so it's not as though you would get very far using fire attacks. The AI is at least that smart. But we can take on this guy now. And now that Moltres has been taken care of, my mind is somewhat at ease, because obviously Moltres is most likely to be the hardest opponent in this dungeon. Although now the Pokemon that I'm facing are getting up to the level low 40s range, a level 50 Moltres is not significantly harder than anything else. In fact, a Pokemon, just a random Pokemon that gets a lucky shot or I screw up on or some other type of unfortunate event occurs, it is quite possible that they could be more dangerous to me than Moltres ended up being. And if that had not been a critical hit, I feel like that Lapras would not have died. Actually, let's use Double Kick. Lapras have a lot of HP, which is why I mentioned that. I was hoping that would do a little bit more damage. I was just thinking that Double Kick is obviously super effective against normal types, which is what Lickitung is, so I thought I would give it a shot. It's not as effective as I would have liked, but the fact of the matter is, Double Kick is a fairly low power attack anyways, so it's not all that surprising. But I did manage to kill it without taking any damage. More so because he was an idiot than because of anything impressive that I did. Unbelievable! Believe it. Did that rock really reset? That makes me really upset. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna push it over to the side again. Okay, so the rock is being repositioned, and just because I was really annoyed by the fact that I had to do that again, I actually used a repel, just because I didn't want to deal with random encounters again while doing the rock again. So, no random encounters, probably for the rest of the dungeon, but oh well. If it push comes to shove, then I guess I can always do, like, grinding or something. Parasect, huh? Well, Parasect is grass type, so Ice Beam it is. I'm always kind of surprised at how powerful Gyarados is using Ice Beam, considering he's not an ice type. Fighting against an enemy Dewgong is actually a pretty tricky business, because like other water ice types, it's actually only weak to a very narrow spectrum of attacks. Fire type attacks are not effective against it like other ice types, because obviously Dewgong is part water, and grass types of attacks aren't effective against it like it would be on other water types, just because it's part ice. So basically, your only option against water ice types is electric attacks. Jeez. Chansey has a ridiculous amount of HP. Let's try Hydro Pump. Up the ante a little bit. Is that gonna do more? That did more damage. Not much more, but it's more. That should finish it off. Please? Not quite. And now I am asleep. Well, that's unfortunate. Although I do have the Poke Flute, so it could be worse. Oh no! Do not growl at me, Chansey! Although, those growls may... okay. I was kind of worried that the growls would mean that my bite would not be powerful enough to finish it off, but 'twas not the case. So this path here was blocked before we pushed the rock onto the switch. But because we have done that, it is not blocked. Only the chosen, or, you know, the people who walk around you. Although, he may not be referring to this spot specifically so much as this cave in general. If that was the case, then yeah, he would be pretty much right. Kingler is not the ideal opponent for Gyarados. Wow, that was pretty good. There's a good chance that Gyarados will just end up dying here. It actually seems very likely. But that's okay. Gyarados has had his day in the sun. For now, anyways. Honestly, I have to kind of question whether... I've been questioning for a while, in fact, whether it's even that useful to level up Dugtrio. Because the fact of the matter is, there isn't a whole lot that he can really do against the set of trainers coming up. So, part of me feels like I should keep him leveled up just to have another high-level Pokemon on my team. But another part of me feels like he's just kind of going to waste. Like, that experience could be better used elsewhere. I guess part of it is going to come down to just how well I end up actually using him. But there's a very good chance that I'm going to end up not getting any use whatsoever out of him in the final series of events. We shall just have to see. It's actually pretty impressive that this guy has a Blastoise. Pretty good experience from it, too. I don't believe it. Who is in the front now? Let's put Hypno up front. Hypno is definitely going to get some use, so I might as well give him some experience. And we're almost done with this dungeon. Bellsprout? A level 43 Bellsprout. Are you freaking kidding me? That's ridiculous. So utterly, completely ridiculous. Also dead. Don't forget that. Oh, you're gonna be one of these types? The Bellsprout, then the Weeping Bell, and then next you're gonna have a Victory Bell, right? That's how this works? You think you're clever having your, like, theme group? If you actually evolved all your Pokemon, you might actually have a decent group. But no, you had to keep one as a Bellsprout. Because Bellsprouts are so awesome. And now you're dead. Look what your theme group did now. It just died. It didn't do anything. It didn't even hit me. Take a minute and think about that. Go cry in a corner and evaluate your life. Reflect on your decisions. Well, there's the repel worn off. That actually didn't last as long as I would have thought. Anyways, we pushed that one rock off the edge, and then fell off ourselves, just because it's the quickest way to get back here. And actually, that's not the direction we want to be pushing the rock. I just realized that the bike music was going on, even though I wasn't still on my bike. That's interesting. So, remount the bike, and we gotta push the rock all the way over this way. This, of course, being the rock that was up above, but is now down below. And that takes care of that. Switch. Oh, random encounters. How I have missed you so. I don't know. Random encounters, I'm really conflicted about them in this game. Half the time I feel like I need to fight them to get the experience, because by this point in the game, like, you're at a pretty severe disadvantage level-wise. Oh, that's a Drowsy. I should switch out to a different Pokemon. Is it Charizard? But at the same time, like, they're just, most of the time they're just not worth fighting at all. And it's just, like, they're so annoying, and it just feels like they're a waste of time. Well, I guess, it is what it is. Seems to be a phrase that I'm spouting quite frequently these days. This is a juggler, so all of his Pokemon are going to be psychic. So I guess I might as well keep Charizard out. Unfortunately, I no longer know Slash, so Strength is going to have to do. It's a pretty good alternative, but I would say that the average damage is in fact lower still. But it is what it is. We're pretty much done with this place anyways, so I'm not super concerned with maintaining all of my Pokemon and being super effective, or, well, effective is good, but also efficient. That's the word I was looking for. At this point, my largest damage of straight-up normal type damage is probably going to be Gyarados using Bite. Well, at least I know I can kill these Kadabras in a single shot. Don't have to worry about that. And down he goes. I did indeed. Now, just so I'm not annoyed by the flashing screen and sound effects, I might as well use this antidote on Charizard to cure his poison. Now we can take this ladder here, Brings us to here. And take this ladder here. And we're done. We have made it through the Victory Road. We didn't even have to visit the Pokemon Center to do it. That is a lot of random Pokemon statues. Oh man, the world turned purple. What am I gonna do? Well, for one, I'm gonna rest up at the Pokemon Center. For another, I'm going to leave you here today for Let's Play Pokemon Red. Next time around, we take on the big leagues. Quite literally. Catch you later.